There we go, much better. So now it's working. All right. Computer Science 161, right? All right, if you're not here for that, I fear you're in the wrong lecture hall. Yeah, I like to record all my lectures and I post them to YouTube. In fact, you can find all of last year's lectures on YouTube, and you can find all of last year's next semester and the previous years, like 162, which is the course that comes after this. You can find all those on YouTube, on my channel if you want. They're there, they're for you, use them. Trying to think what else. Oh, also, I am trying something quite different this year. It's not fully thought out at this stage for 161, but it will be in 162. Raise your hand if you are currently registered in 162. Okay. Raise your hand if you're like, well, maybe I will be. Let's see how this goes. All right, cool. Hopefully I'll convince you. And if you're not in 162, that's fine, but you should totally take it. It's a great course. Way more fun than this one, but don't get me wrong, this one is very fun. And, wrong lecture? All right, good luck. But yeah, the one thing I'm trying that's different this year is the course content, as you'll see, is going to be delivered on these web pages that I've made. And to get to the website, all you have to do is open up a browser and go to CSCI161.com and it'll take you here. It links you right to this website. No, not this one, the other one. This is GitHub. Yeah, so this website is generated by something called Sphinx. But what I've done, unlike the past, what I've done is I've integrated all of the content used, all of the information used to generate that website is on GitHub. Raise your hand if you've heard of GitHub before. A couple of people. Raise your hand if you've used it before. Okay, a couple of people. It's a lot more accessible than you might think. A lot of times, like, it looks scary, but if you read like a 2-minute or watch a 5-minute YouTube video on how to use GitHub, you'll be a whiz in no time. But what I'm doing is, whenever I want to make a change to the course content, maybe it's something as small as a typo. What I have to do, and it might seem like a bit of a hoop to jump through for me, but what I do is I make the change, and I push the change to GitHub. Then someone will look at the change, make sure, yeah, okay, it's good, it doesn't break anything, and they approve it, and then that change gets merged into the content, and it automatically will update the course website. The reason I'm telling you this is it gives you the ability to contribute to the course content. If you find a typo, you can fix it. If you think of a better example in a particular case, you can add it to the course content. Like, don't worry about breaking anything. I'll review anything you push. But if it gets accepted, there, it's in the course content. So you actually now have an ability to be a part of what's creating the course content for 161, which I think is pretty cool. Yeah, so that's the GitHub page. Just go to my GitHub profile. I should probably put that on this page somewhere. I'll do that later. In fact, if someone does that, fantastic. So there are 2 sections this year. One section is taught by me. I'm Dr. Hughes. You could also call me Professor Hughes. And the other section is being taught by Dr. Delamar. They're section 12, so you should be section 11. Technically, it doesn't really matter which lecture you show up to, it's just, this is section 11. You clearly found class today, so here's topic 1. I have no internet, apparently. Why? That's going to be a problem. I can't even see the thing for internet. What's going on?
It's down at the bottom left corner.
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh. That's is that a new icon? No? I'm just,
That's just the icon that shows up when you're not connected.
oh my goodness, what the heck? Let's see if web effects will work. No internet, but
You
connected.
have to sign into the password to join the internet here, don't you?
Yeah, but it should be remembered. There we go. There we go. Cool. So we'll start with, oh, look, there's a typo. I'm gonna have to fix this later. So I'll very quickly go through the course outline or syllabus. In every course you ever take, it's full of a lot of words and whatnot at the bottom. And it's just all these things that we copy paste put in there. It's kind of like a disclaimer, all right? And I'll quickly go over them. But really the most critically important stuff for the course itself is going to be near the top. This is going to be the same for most of your courses. Raise your hand if you're in first year. Okay, a lot of people. Cool, really exciting. Before we get in actually any further, there's a couple of things I want to emphasize because they don't do a particularly good job of this at St. FX. Your professors aren't your teachers. I'm your professor. Who are your teachers? Everyone point to yourself. I can't make you learn anything, right? It's all up to you. My job is to give you the information, facilitate your learning, but ultimately, I'm not your teacher. And you gotta understand that of my job, I'm a researcher. I'm a scientist. I do research. I publish scientific articles. And I also teach, don't get me wrong. But you have to understand that unlike your high school teachers, it's not my job to be as involved as you might be used to. That's not to scare you, that's just to make sure you're prepared accordingly, because it can be kind of painful in the early parts of that transition. So just be aware of this. That doesn't mean we're not here to help. All it means is you might need to adjust your expectations. What else was there? There were a bunch of early notes I try to talk about. Of course, I can't think of them right now. So let's carry on. And if I think of them, I'll bring them up. So there's no prerequisites for this course, obviously. I mean, there's an assumed working knowledge of how to use your computer. But other than that, that's it. No prerequisite. My office hours are going to be virtually only. I'm not going to be having in-person office hours. I'm the annex. Pretty sure if you go in there, you'll suffocate. I don't know. It's an old building. So yeah, they're going to be on virtual only. Going to be on Blackboard Collaborate. You'll find the link inside on the Moodle page for this course. Raise your hand if you've accessed the Moodle page. Cool. So it exists. Lecture times, yeah, you know where we are. We have labs. Labs start this week. FYI. The labs are done. So there'll be 12 labs, probably. And they're done in such a way where it's your best 11 out of 12. Okay, so if you miss 2 labs but get perfect on all other labs, you can get perfect in the lab portion of your final grade. Also, the labs, it's not attendance, but I'm not like marking what you're doing during the lab. What I do is during the lab, you're working on your stuff, and at the end of the lab, we see how far you got, and I encourage you to work together in the labs. Like, I very strongly encourage that. And all I want to see is by the end of the lab, you've gotten sufficiently far, and I give you your point for the lab. Show up, don't waste time, you're in great shape. I think only like 3 times have I ever not given someone the mark when they showed up, and it's because they were just doing another assignment or looking for another rental to rent. Website, this website, Moodle, lecture notes. All of the assignments and whatnot will be submitted via Moodle, but all the other course content will be delivered through this website. The What else? Oh yeah, and the textbook is entirely free. It's online. The textbook is phenomenal. And using the text in this course, like, you could do very well in this course without looking at the textbook at all. But those that go through the textbook and do like the little sample problems and whatnot are those that tend to get like 95 plus in the course. So FYI. Things that we're going to cover, we start at the beginning. But for better or worse, introductory computer science moves quickly. There's a lot you got to know by the end of the semester. And the content's very accumulative as well. Like all of the other I shouldn't really word it this way, but for lack of a better way to describe it, for all of like your other technical courses, you get a sense of, if I didn't learn what I learned last week, there's no way on earth I'm going to be able to do this week's stuff. Because if you don't know that, you can't do this week's. There are some courses where you can just write off last week and just pick up. And other ones, they tend to be the more technical ones in general, but I'm not asserting that. If you're not on top of it, you're going to fall behind quickly, which is going to be a problem. But we're going to cover all these topics. And near the end, what I like to do is show you stuff that, one, will not be on the exam, but I show you fairly advanced computer science topics. I will show you some data visualization. I will show you what it means. I'll show you different types of computational systems. I will show you some machine learning. None of this stuff will be on the exam, but it's more to show you, okay, great, you finished first year computer science, first semester, and you might get to the end of the semester and go, well, now what? You don't really get a sense to see where it's going, because at this part, we're starting at the very beginning. So I like to show people where we're going. Here is the mark breakdown. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. This year it actually adds up to 100. That's good. 4 assignments. They're all worth 10%. Labs, 10% of your final mark. Midterm exam is 20%. Final exam is 30th. The deadlines, as you'll see, are tentatively, that's the idea. I just don't know, because this course goes with the flow. If it feels like I need to slow down on stuff, I'm going to slow down on stuff. If it feels like I'm wasting time and everyone's like, yeah, I get it, I'll speed up. So it's kind of hard today to know what I'm going to want assignment 1 do, because it's very, I react to how the course is going. Assignment submissions, there's no such thing as due dates. Yes, there are. There's no such thing as late submissions in my course. It's on time or it doesn't get marked. That's it. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. If it says it's due at 11:55 and you submit it at 11:56, is it in on time or not? No. It's simple. The cutoff is the cutoff. It's in on time or 0. Marking. Almost all the marking in this course is going to be done by teaching assistants. Teaching assistants and your other professors, will make mistakes when marking sometimes. But if a teaching assistant marks your assignment 1 and then you email me this well, why did I lose all these marks? I'm not going to be able to answer that question. You got to talk to the teaching assistant that marked it. But you'll know who marked it when you get your assignment back. But yeah, we all make mistakes. And there's if you want to remark on something, there's a process for it that you have to follow. You have a 2-week period. It's outlined somewhere at St. Effects. Tests, don't cheat. Labs are kind of neat. As I already kind of explained, I give you some stuff to do and you work on it. The labs are always broken into 2 sections, really, where the first bit, I'll give you specific stuff I want you to do. So, lab 1 is okay, hello world. Yeah.
I read through your report before we came in. I noticed how you had all the labs there. Can we go through the labs? Are we supposed to before we can come to the class? Are you sure of that?
You can do whatever you want. But you won't get marked until it's then and there. But you can go and do every lab today if you want.
Yeah.
Cool. So the first bit, I'll give you some specific stuff to do. And then the second bit, I use something called CADIS. Has anyone heard of CADIS before? like one person. Okay, Caddis, it's this online programming competition prep website, and it's got a lot of problems. And some of the earlier problems, you know, they're accessible, there's stuff that you can do, and I'll give you a list of the Caddis problems that you can go and solve. So there's like 2 parts, and if I list like 20 Caddis problems, I'm not expecting you to get them all done. I'm just showing you which ones you're safe to do. And that you have the requisite skills for. I'm not going to give you something that requires that you know some like highly crazy advanced stuff. So that's why I list them. Email contact. Make sure you're up to date with your StateFX email. Of course, you can email me with questions, but there are questions that are not appropriate for email. Questions that are appropriate for email are like, oh, you know, on assignment 1, it says this. Do you mean this? Yeah, great. Things that aren't appropriate are, here's my code, it's broken, fix it. No, like you can, like we can talk about that, but come to office hours. I'm not gonna look at those emails. Like it's not manageable. One year, earlier when I was teaching, so this would have been probably 2015, I want to say. I woke up one morning and this is back when I was teaching at Western, so the course was like 500 students. And I woke up one morning with like 30-something emails that were, my code's broken, have a look. I mean, each one of those emails would take like 20 minutes, half an hour to address. It's not happening. It's not that I don't want to be helpful, it's just that it can't happen. It won't work. Those are office hours questions. But that's not to say don't email me with questions. But if it's like one that might require a bit of a back and forth, office hours might be better. If it's a question that you think is good, but then if I say like, you know what, let's talk about this at office hours, it's not because like, oh, you goofed and asked a question you shouldn't have. It's because in my mind, I'm like, ooh, this is going to be a hairy one to explain. It'll just be easier if you come to office hours or something. So that's all. Attendance, it's mandatory. Copyright policy, I own everything. You can't record me. I record myself though, so don't worry. Don't cheat. Oh yeah, don't cheat. One of my favorite things to do is catch cheaters. I get giddy over it. First year computer science, in North America at least, is known to have notoriously high cheating. It's kind of easy to cheat in computer science, but you know what else is really easy in computer science? Catching cheaters. It's so easy. We have software, we have tools to check for it. If you cheat, I'll catch you. The first year I taught here, back in 2018 in the fall, on assignment 3, I had like 30 cheaters. I caught them all. I submitted the academic thing I gotta do to get you nailed for cheating, and I enjoyed every second of it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I was disappointed that people cheated. I don't want you to cheat. But I find a little bit of joy, a lot of joy in catching cheaters. The good news is, it's really easy to not cheat. Really easy. But when I catch you, I'm going to go full force. I'll submit the thing. They'll ask me, oh, what do you want? I'll always encourage them to like give you 0 or have you immediately fail the class, then and there, that type of stuff. Because there's no need to cheat. If you cheat, it's very, very disrespectful to me, your peers, anyone who's ever taken computer science. It's really bad. I find it quite problematic. And the thing that I find really amusing is some people now are like, well, you know, they only cheated because, they were desperate. Well, yeah, you're not going to cheat when you don't feel the need to cheat, obviously. And they're like, well, no, we don't want to, it's not about punishing, it's about educating. What could I possibly educate you about cheating today that you didn't learn when you were this big? You all know what cheating is, and that you're not supposed to do it. Oh, and my favorite, they always catch cheaters. And a bunch of times, there will be like, oh, I gave my assignment to them and they copied me. Well, you cheated too. And so people will be like, but I didn't copy, I only gave it to them. So it's not cheating. It's like, yes it is. And I know you know this. Don't cheat. It's really easy not to cheat. When in doubt, don't cheat. If you're like, you know what, if I don't get this, like I'll get 0, take the 0, trust me. Because it'll be better for you. Yeah, I'll check you. Tutoring, feel free to get a tutor. It's not me though. And here's a bunch of the extra wording. Important stuff. Yeah, anyways, it is your responsibility to go through all of this stuff. Read it, understand it. Let me know if you have any questions. Here is the YouTube channel of last year's lectures if you want. You can listen to me yell about cheating there as well. Office hours, yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 10 to 11, but it'll be virtual only. Oh yeah, and when you come to office hours, oh man, this is one of the things that really annoys me, is when you come to office hours, and you're like, oh, I'm stuck on assignment 1. Okay, all right, well, let's have a look. What have you done? Well, nothing, because I'm stuck. Okay, well, go try something first, and then we can talk. If you come to office hours and you're looking for help and you've done nothing, I'm not going to help you until you've shown me what you've done and what I can help you with. Office hours is not for me to give you the answer to anything. I'm not going to give you the answer to anything in office hours. And I mean, unless it's like a question like, when's the midterm or something, which I don't know yet. But like, I'm not going to solve your problems that I give you to do at office hours. I can help you. I can give you pokes along the right way, show you where to go. But yeah. All right. We'll jump here. Are there any questions before we really start? Just in another FYI, I hate just standing up here and talking at you for an hour. I like when people ask questions. I like when people get engaged. Yeah?
Your office hours is on Twitch, not Blackboard?
No, they will be on Blackboard. Okay, I see what you're looking at. Twitch office hours are an entirely different thing.
Oh, they are? Okay.
Yeah, don't worry, I don't post office hours on Twitch. What I do is, so I started this last year. So last year, all the COVID-19 stuff, you could really get a sense that, you know, the students in computer science, those are the ones that I saw, but all students, there wasn't really great opportunity for any amount of socializing or anything. So what I did is I made a little Minecraft server and gave it to so the students can use. And then on Monday nights, I had office hours on Twitch. But it would be like people would just show up and ask computer science related questions. Someone have had a question about a class that I didn't know. Someone else there may have been like, oh, it's just this or something. So it was kind of cool. I had people from like high school show up. It was pretty cool. It was a lot of fun. It will start up again soonish, just probably not next Monday, but soon-ish. And I'll have to turn the server back on. Yeah?
And then I feel stupid for this, but I didn't see the Blackboard link on there, and I looked for like quite a while.
Oh, it's on Moodle.
Oh, it's on Moodle?
Yeah, it's hidden in Moodle because I don't want that Blackboard link to be public like it is on this website. So you do have to go to Moodle and it's near the top. I think I make it like click me, and then it's there.
Oh, okay.
Let me know if you still can't find it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other questions? Yeah.
What was the highest viewers you got on Twitch?
Oh, I can't remember. It wasn't particularly high. I'm trying to think. I think I had like 20 something once, but yeah. Yeah.
So for problems living in Canada with like code and stuff, what's kind of the deal with like, because I've referenced it a few times in the past, like Stack Overflow. What's kind of your...
All right, I love this question. I'm jumping ahead to the end of this topic, but I'll cover it now anyways because it was asked. Okay, you're going to hear me say something a lot. And every year, despite me explaining the history and context within computer science and the culture, people get mad at this. I will tell you too, Google it. When you're stuck on something, sometimes if I even know the answer and it's like, oh, I see, I will tell you too, oh, just Google that. And it's not because I'm dismissing you. It's not. It's because you will probably find the answer to your question by doing that. Sometimes people come and they'll ask me a question and I don't know the answer. Who wants to take a wild guess on how I find the answer? I Google it. Just cut the middleman out here. Don't make me your Googler. In the past, I've said, has anyone ever seen those let me Google that for you links? Yeah. Sometimes I'll send those to people and then they're like, right? I gotcha. But yeah, I'll tell you to Google it because you will often find answers on websites like Stack Overflow. Yeah, you could use Stack Overflow. I mean, don't cut and paste. But one of the most important things we try to teach you in computer science is, of course, independent learning. Cut me out of this, figure this one on, figure it out. And I mean that in the nicest way possible. But something called code refactoring, where, if you have a problem, it's probably going to be a fairly specific problem. And you might be Googling it, but it's specific, but it's complex, okay? You're probably not going to find the exact solution to what you're looking for on a place like Stack Overflow. But you might find a solution to a very, 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 very similar problem and situation. So, if you are capable at looking at this, if you're capable of understanding what your problem is, reading the thing on Stack Overflow, understanding how they solve their problem, if you can take that and change it to solve your problem, that's unbelievable. That's one of the number one things that we like to encourage in computer science education. If you have that ability, you're in great shape. Because not only it shows that you understand your problem, you understand how the code solves their problem and all that. So I will tell people oh, Google it. And again, I really don't mean this to be mean. I mean it as it's a joke in computer science. You can find dozens and dozens of memes about I'm a computer scientist, I got a degree in Googling it, ha ha ha. Those are everywhere. I've got one later down here. Great question though. Other questions? Yeah?
What language are we learning?
Well, funny that you say that. We're not learning a language, but we're using Python. So, ultimately Python. But one thing I do like to also emphasize early is, I'm not teaching you Python. I'm not teaching you really about Python. I'm teaching you the core concepts of computer science. What are variables? What are types? What are functions? What are conditions? What are loops? What are classes? What are and so on and so on and so on. These things, these ideas, are going to be the same whether it's C, C++, Java, Python, and so on. They're the same. So the emphasis is on the underlying ideas, not on Python, but we're doing it all in Python. I have a feeling that's really what your question was. Cool. All right. So yeah, anyone know who this guy is? Yell it out if you do.
I can Google it.
You could. No one knows? Oh no. This right here might be one of the most important humans that have ever lived. That's Alan Turing. Who here has ever heard about Alan Turing before? Wonderful. So Alan Turing, every once in a while in science, there comes along an actual genius. There's your Isaac Newtons. There's also your Alan Turings. I'd argue that Alan Turing is probably more important than Einstein. What he did, he basically invented computer science. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't this discrete transition. He was a mathematician. But this is the guy responsible for breaking the Enigma encoding from World War II. Does anyone know anything else that he's famous for?
I mean, when you said his name, I thought it was the Turing test.
Turing test, well, that's named after him. There's a programming language. There's a Turing test. There's Turing machines. There's, we went a little crazy because we like him a lot. But does anyone else know something he's renowned for?
I don't think it's something he's renowned for. I think it's just we talked about calculus last year, and I'm pretty sure he was like treated really horribly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I was going for. Yeah, maybe renowned wasn't the right word. Is that what you were going to say? I saw another hand somewhere.
Similar to that, yeah.
Yeah. So, he was gay. Despite him being one of the most important people ever, he was persecuted like crazy. He ended up likely committing suicide by cyanide. I think it was cyanide. Because of this, because of the way he was treated. He got arrested for being homosexual. And in the end, he died. He died fairly young, too. It's kind of hard to tell in science. Like, what would the world be like if Isaac Newton didn't exist? If he never came along? Maybe someone else would have stepped in. Probably, right? We would have eventually figured out calculus, right? We don't have to, we have that scenario here. We lost Alan Turing. And researchers tend to get better as they learn and grow and whatnot. This guy was a World War II hero. He's responsible for saving how many millions of lives, potentially. But because of this persecution, he was so excluded, he died. And we didn't have him to carry on contributing to my field. The field that you're studying right here. There's a lot of talk about inclusivity in computer science. And it's getting better. It really is. It truly is. In fact, I'm seeing good things right now when I look at this class. This is really good. But there is a bit of a culture still, whether it's overt or not, of exclusion. And that can have serious consequences. And what really bugs me is if you're a smart person, I love computer science. I'm obsessed with this stuff. If you're a smart person, I want you to do computer science because maybe you'll discover something crazy. Maybe you'll do something crazy, right? It's crazy awesome. I want you to do that. But if you are not able to do that because you feel excluded, that's a big problem. And we have one of the most important people right there that dealt with this. How about Ada Lovelace? Anyone hear of her? Okay. She arguably was the world's first computer programmer. Right? I mean, this goes back a long time ago when the computer was like this physical machine that had moving parts and whatnot. But she came up with a way of programming these things. People today work so hard to try to discredit or minimize the impact this person had. Why? One, they had a huge impact. Huge. But people are trying to do this because they're assholes. So, you could think, okay, it's getting better. But we still have assholes that do stuff like that. They try to be exclusionary. Is that the right word? They try to exclude people. That's not going to happen in here. Now, I also realize that you're a younger generation than me, right? And the values that you grew up with were slightly different than the values that I grew up with in terms of what's acceptable and what's not. There were words I used when I was younger that today, oh my gosh, I cannot. That's not okay. That's how it was. It's not a good thing, but it's how it was. And I realized that you grew up in a time where there are different things. So me standing here and lecturing you about equality and being inclusive might be silly. Like, what do I know compared to you who probably is better at it than I am? I'm only saying it because going forward, there might be people in this field that try to discredit Ada Lovelace. You know? All I want to emphasize is, if you are feeling excluded, let me know, and I'll crack some skulls, okay? Right? But of course, this isn't going to be a problem in 161, right? No. Perfect, I see. Okay, right. All right, so raise your hand if you've ever encountered a computer program before. Put your hand up. Of course you have. Always. They're everywhere. Can anyone, and I'll give you a second to talk amongst yourselves, can anyone think of an area of science or anything where the inclusion of computers is ultimately a very bad thing? Try to come up with one. It's too quiet. Talk to each other. We're going to do this a lot in this class because I need breaks from talking. All right, let's hear it. Just for the sake of time, did anyone come up with one that they're like, yeah? No? Okay, what did you think? In the States, though, they have computers to use it. That's true. But, I like what you're thinking. What do you think?
I was pretty much going to say the same thing with the chapter, really. They do stuff, but they're not connected to the internet, so.
I'm still guessing, even the ones that are counted by hand, I'm still guessing they're at least using like an Excel spreadsheet or something. I mean, the point is, I make you think hard to come up with a solution, and like an example, and the examples are always kind of like tenuous. So, yeah, obviously computers are valuable. Okay, there's 2 sections. I'm Dr. Hughes. How will this class work? As you can probably tell, it's going to be a little different than like a conventional lecture. I don't like just standing talking at people. I like that back forth. Sometimes we'll activities, I'll have you talk to each other. We'll try to solve problems together. And I do this because it's been empirically shown to be a more effective learning environment. Whatever. Okay. So, again, for the sake of time, raise your hand if you're going to plan on being a computer science major. Really high, I want to see. Awesome. Hopefully by the end of the semester I can have more hands up at that. So raise your hand if you're in the Faculty of Science. Really high, I want to see. Okay. How about Faculty of Arts program? Business? What else is there? Education? Later? Yeah, okay. Nursing? None? Oh. Did I miss anything? Who here is going to be a math major? Cool. You're my targets for being computer scientists. Also, I got some bad news for all of you. Raise your hand if you kind of don't like math. Be honest. So I got some really bad news. This is all math. But we're tricking you into thinking it's not, but it is. Hey, I fell for the trick too. Here I am. I hated math. I dropped first year calculus because I was like, I hate this. But I like programming. And then one day I realized, wait a minute, it's just all math. When did this happen? So don't worry, if you're scared of math, you're probably thinking you're scared of algebra or calculus. Math is a lot broader than just that. is math. Does anyone have an interesting reason why they're taking this course, other than just?
To be fair, I'm taking this course, so hopefully I thought to myself, well, I'm taking business and I'm going to use Excel and all the functions in there. So I thought, okay, well, it could be useful for that and maybe I'll minor in it.
You're absolutely right that it will be useful there. You're going to learn a hell of a lot more than just that, though. By the end of the semester, any of your buds that are doing anything in Excel, you're going to be running laps around them. Yeah.
It's going to seem a little bit maybe weird, but I've never programmed. The only thing I've done is like a hello world statement. So
Raise your hand if you've never wrote a single line of code before.
okay.
Yeah, cool. Not required. So you're just like about half the class. And that's okay. We don't assume that you've done anything before. In fact, if you've done Hello World, you're ahead of them already. Any other interesting reasons to take it? You all right, cool. All right. What should you bring to class? If you bring a laptop, there are some activities that I'll give you time to do. So if you can bring a laptop and work with it, that's encouraged. Pencil paper is also really good too. You might think, well, I'll just take notes on the laptop. Yeah, cool. But it's been demonstrated that people that write notes tend to retain more for whatever reason. Okay, is this class easy? Did anyone here have a buddy tell them that, yeah, the class is easy? All right, well, that's good. You won. And did you have a question?
Yeah, does the university have any laptops or anything to borrow?
I don't know. I don't even know who you'd ask about that, but yeah, I don't know. You do not need to come with a laptop. It's fine. You can actually do like everything on your phone if you want it, although, yeah, good luck. Oh, okay, that's some bad luck. All right. Oh, good. If you find a place where like you can figure something out, let me know, and then maybe we can let everyone else know in case they're in the same boat. So is this course hard? Well, raise your hand if you know how to use a hammer. Raise your hand if you know how to use a saw. Raise your hand if you know how to use a screwdriver. Raise your hand if you know how to build a house from the ground up. No, you don't. All of the topics I'm going to teach you aren't hard in and of themselves, but it's knowing how to use the tools that I teach you the right way together. That's where the difficulty comes. And the only way to get better, there's no secret to it. The only way is practice. Practice, practice, practice. There's tons of practice in the course textbook, the free online one. There's tons of practice on Caddis. Practice, practice, practice is how you get good. So should you be terrified? No, it's really not that bad. Unfortunately, first-year computer science tends to have a very, very, very high fail rate. And part of that is because, unlike, if you've never taken a biology class before, and then you have to take biology for the first time, there's a lot of transferable skills you picked up in other courses that are applicable to your biology class or chemistry class. Computer science is weird. There's really very little stuff you could have done beforehand to prepare effectively. So it's going to be entirely new. So it's not that bad if you put in the effort. If you don't, this is the type of course that it's not that it's hard, it's that it's going to require you to work. But if you work at it and you practice, you're going to be a whiz. Another really cool thing, though, is unlike other courses like math. Let's say you're working on a math thing and you finish it. It took you like 2 pages, you wrote everything out, and you hope you're right? What's really cool about computer science is when you write your code and you know that your code is supposed to do X, Y, Z, and you hit run, and it doesn't, you know that it doesn't work. And you'll also know when it does work. So not many courses are like this, where you can know what's right and what's wrong submit it. Because you'll know, like, well, is it doing what it's supposed to do? And you're going to make a lot of mistakes. It's programming perhaps is a bit of a misnomer because when you're programming, like 95% of your time is debugging. And I'm not saying that's silly. You don't write a lot of lines of code. You spend most of your time figuring out why those lines of code are wrong. That applies to me. And I'm not saying that, oh, because you're new, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. No. It could be someone who's a software engineer at Amazon. They're going to spend a lot of time debugging, finding out why this isn't working. So when you come to my office and you're like, oh, I've been working on this assignment and I just can't get it working. I just can't get it right. It's wrong. It's like, well, yeah, expect to make mistakes. Expect to make mistakes. You're going to be wrong until you get it right. Okay, will this work? Run. No. All right, how about this? No. All right, how about, and so on. Debugging. You're going to be beating your head against that keyboard a lot. Whether you're a first-year computer scientist or a senior engineer at some company. It's the way it is. Programming really should probably be called debugging because you do more of that than anything else. Get used to those mistakes. But again, it's awesome because you get to know that there's a mistake in there. Yeah, debugging. And so here's like another Google joke. Oh, here's one. I like this one. Googling, yeah, this one's good. Because it's really true. So yeah, why did you say Google so many? Okay, there's a lot of resources available to you. There's like help desk, there's Monday night, Matt's computer science help stuff, there's office hours, there's the YouTube videos, there's also Google. You'll see I listed Google a lot. That's because, well, I already explained that, right? Because that's what programmers are. 95% of your time is debugging, the other 5% of your time is Googling it. I don't know where programming comes in. Somehow it fits in there. All right, can I write a program now? No, because we ran out of time. All right, I'll see you all whenever next class is.